This broadcast is brought to you by Colby Brooks with Century 21 Right Pace Real Estate and buyfrombrooks.com. Let Colby Brooks handle all of your real estate needs. Up next on NEA Report, Rebecca O'Donnell back in court. The suspect in the Linda Collins murder case now in prison for almost 7 months, facing new charges. We'll tell you what those are, what she pleaded today. Plus tests for the coronavirus in Arkansas and the CDC proceeding with those tests. We'll tell you what that means exactly. And several criminal acts caught on camera and police departments asking for your help. We'll see if we can help them out next on NEA Report.
Reporting.
Thanks for joining us tonight on NEA Report as we take a late night look at some of the news across Northeast Arkansas. Starting out with the Rebecca O'Donnell case and the murder of Linda Collins, O'Donnell being the suspect in custody since last June, while she was back in court today, entering more not guilty pleas, as this time she was accused of trying to have several people murdered in the case, including the former prosecutor and a former judge on the case, as well as the ex-husband of Collins. In addition to that, she also is alleged to wanted her car blown up, her car that was confiscated into evidence. She didn't even know if the car was in Little Rock or in Randolph County, and the allegation is she told somebody, a prisoner in Jackson County Jail, that she wanted it, at either location, they figured it out, to be blown up. She's also alleged to have tried to send someone to the ex-husband's house. We're talking about Circuit Judge Phil Smith, a former circuit judge who had to resign, actually. She's alleged to have tried to plot his killing and then placed a suicide note where it would have, I suppose, framed himself for the act. And as payment, well, she's alleged to have offered money that was in Phil Smith's house. In other words, the person did all the work and then paid themselves. It made very little sense, but that's the allegation that she's facing. She's back in court, as I mentioned today, and not guilty was the plea. Her defense attorney dismissed the new charges, saying that a lot of high-profile homicide cases have jailhouse informants coming out of the woodwork. In this case, I believe it was 4 people that were said to have had knowledge of this or witnessed it or specifically were solicited. Now, after everything that took place there, the judge kept the gag order in place today. And I wanted to bring that up because ABC News actually tried to argue, they had one of their attorneys arguing to lift or modify this gag order to release documents connected to this thing so that the public will know what's going on. The attorney, John Tull, representing ABC News and the Arkansas Press Association, said it's important that the public be given the full opportunity to watch the justice system in action and understand the charges and what's being alleged. But just hours after Colin Smith's body was found, that gag order was put into place, and it was likely because NEA Report was able to report what had taken place. The gag order was sent directly to us, of course, by the prosecutor after it was issued. Information has just not come out since then. It's been impossible to find out information on this case, and this order has not just marred local efforts, but now nationwide efforts, including with ABC News. But even though they tried, the nationwide news organization failed in their efforts today, and the judge, John Fogelman, the latest judge assigned to the case, making the decision that even though there are free speech and free press concerns, there's also the concern for an impartial jury. The newly appointed prosecuting attorney saying, by the way, his argument was that if there's more reporting, there'll be more chattering, more this, more that. I believe it's adding fuel to the fire. And the defense team opposed lifting the order as well. Basically, it seemed like everybody involved was opposing it, except for the press, which was doing its best to try to find out more information. Didn't work today. So not a lot coming out on the case, but Rebecca O'Donnell still being housed in Jackson County Detention Center and facing multiple new charges that will, according to today's ruling, be tried after the murder trial. And of course, potentially, based on what happens in that murder trial, it begs the question of if it would be tried even at all. So another story to talk about tonight on NEA Report, there's an investigation of a possible coronavirus case in Arkansas, but you got to note that question mark there because this is a major if. Here's what happened. The Arkansas Department of Health has said that they have now passed along to the CDC this case that's being looked into. A patient being investigated traveled to China and returned with symptoms similar to the symptoms of the coronavirus, where the United States government has evacuated at least 195 Americans out of Wuhan, China, the city at the center of this outbreak. So the subject is currently isolated, according to the information, and we don't know where they're from. If it's Northeast Arkansas, South Arkansas, it's just somewhere in Arkansas. All we do know right now is that person being tested and isolated and the CDC involved in that testing. But there's not a lot of other information on that. It's just one potential possible case that they decided warranted further testing, but even now it's still unconfirmed. So we'll be waiting for information on that before we make any statements to the contrary. NEA Report continues to follow the murder that happened over the weekend, or at least was discovered over the weekend on Shady Grove Road, but there are no arrests as of yet, as far as we know. Still no new information as well, even though we've been checking with police. Also checked with some other media friends, and we're really just not learning much about this. JPD very quiet about this case. Donald C. Hubbard, 78, who owned the home for at least 30 years, based on property records that I searched. He was shot to death in his home, shot multiple times. Very disturbing case that took place. It's in West Jonesboro, for those of you who have not followed the case and don't know where that's at. But we're still going to be following the case over the next several days, and hopefully there'll be some new information that comes up in that. If you happen to have any information about this case, contact the Jonesboro Police Department, 870-935-5657. You've probably already seen this video. It's caused a lot of people to be chatting about it online. It's an interesting case. On Monday night, a man pulled up to the Northeast Arkansas Humane Society around 7:30 p.m. It has been very cold this week, by the way. He got out of his vehicle and, according to Jonesboro Police Department, tied an American Pit Bull Terrier to the chain link fence. They say she suffered all night without food or water. And now they say this man is facing a cruelty to animals charge. If you have any idea of who he is, and perhaps you would even like a reward for the information, contact Jonesboro Animal Control during their regular hours, 935-3920. They may have an answering service that you can leave a tip with after hours. Of course, you can also message the Jonesboro Police Department's page as well. But you can see here basically everything taking place on video released by police. It did get a lot of talk, over 250 comments just on the information to Jonesboro Police Department's page alone. One person said at least he took the puppy to a safe place. Sometimes we need to let a crime go that has a better ending. This is published as a dog being terribly mistreated during these hours. LOL. Come on now, that it isn't that. Dogs all the time stay outside with no food overnight. It had 29 likes or so on that. And so there's several other comments as well. Despite the debate, we wanted to show you the video and let you know that a lot of people talking about this online, and you can make your decisions about it in the comments. While we're on the subject of videos from Jonesboro Police Department, let's go ahead and show you this one from yesterday. It's some suspects that went into Target that are alleged to have schemed the cashiers out of money. Now, it's a complex scheme, and I got to tell you, I spent way too much time trying to figure this out, and I couldn't. So I'm glad that there are people out there and probably in the comments that are explaining it now that understand what happened. But basically what I understand is that the suspects, two guys here, worked together to confuse the cashier, who recounted money several times, and they ended up getting several $1,000s worth of electronics for less than $1,000. So we're going to show you a couple of, I guess, closer looks at the suspect, because this video here, it takes a bit to go through, and it's sped up at points, but it's the last several seconds, I guess, that we're looking for, because it's when they leave the store that you can get the best look at the suspects. We'll show you number one. Right there, that's the first suspect, and we paused it at a pretty good moment too, it looks like. So we'll go ahead a few seconds, and we'll try to jump ahead of actually somebody coming out that's not involved. There is suspect number two, the person with the hat. You can tell he's coming out there one person apart from the first suspect. So right there close by, they did enter at separate times. Police looking for both of their identities. So if you have any information about that, you maybe want a tip as well, some cash, contact Jonesboro Police Department, 935-5657, or you can call Crime Stoppers at 935-STOP. Jonesboro Police Department staying busy. They also recovered some stolen property today, and they decided to see what those 30s would look like on a patrol car before they got them back to the rightful owner. Not bad.
Family Medical Clinic of Walnut Ridge and Bono are your neighborhood healthcare providers, and we're now accepting new patients. We know you have a tight schedule, so we're here 6 days a week at both locations from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Walk-ins are welcome. In Walnut Ridge, stop by 1045 West Main Street or call us to make an appointment, 886-8300. In Bono, we're on Highway 63 North or call 930-9990. Walnut Ridge Family Medical Clinic and Bono Family Medical Clinic, here for you when you need us.
An exclusive story at NEAreport.com today about why that minors are sometimes charged as adults. It's relevant because in the news last week, if you followed it, two 17-year-old males from West Side arrested, and they're currently being charged as adults. The judge found probable cause to approve the prosecutor's request, but that request starts with the prosecutor, which for this district, the 2nd Judicial District that includes Craighead County, is Scott Ellington. He told NEA Report, quote, any 16 or 17-year-old who commits a felony could be charged as an adult. In making those charging considerations, we look at previous contacts or encounters with the law, including juvenile court or other felony charges. Pretty much, if they've ever caught a felony charge being 16, if they catch a felony charge at 17, we're not going to let that happen. That's the end of the quote. He brought that comment up about the previous contacts or encounters with the law. And so I asked him, what happens if someone is a juvenile and they have a contact with law enforcement, and then something happens when they're an adult? Well, that information, of course, is not public record for us to retrieve, but Ellington told me that it may play a role in future charging decisions. Perhaps some information that many of us didn't know there. There's also other questions that I asked him that he answered, so you can check the story out. NEAreport.com, you see the gavel there in front of the orange background. That's the story that you're looking for. Thanks for sharing a few of your minutes with us tonight on NEA Report. We really appreciate it. We hope that you'll like, share this video. It helps us a whole lot. We're trying to get the news out to as many people as we can across Northeast Arkansas, and also give journalists at every organization credit for the hard work that they do. I'm Stan Morris. Now you're up to date from NEA Report. Have a great night.